Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you an updated morning time routine as many of you requested. So I am post-exercise, inspired possibly by the fact that I'm doing an Instagram live session with Shona for 2. God, that woman's in amazing shape. So I think it has compelled me over this weekend to do a bit more sport than normal. So I've been skipping this morning, such an easy and intense, if you do it right, workout you can take anywhere. It's so easy. So all I did to prep my skin before I went outside to do it, because I like a bit of fresh air, was to put some sunscreen on. So I'm trialing this one currently, more about that later. So skin pretty much barefaced, apart from a bit of sunscreen. I've been exercising outdoors in London, which means there's probably some pollution trapped on my skin and some oil and a bit of sweat. So we're going to cleanse and then get down to it. So I'm just going to dampen my skin. Ready to cleanse with my Flawless Cleanser, and I'm actually going to use 2 pumps because I have got stuff on my skin. It's not the typical morning cleanse, although I've got nothing around my eyes, and I do recommend using a separate eye makeup remover for whenever you're trying to remove some mascara, liner and the like. I do use it to kind of remove any excess eye makeup, but I don't go right up to the eye line with this. So I am going to give this a full minute. Now, what I plan to have shown tonight is the best glutes activating exercise to do for your 1 minute, because I'm all about multitasking, and I think Trini is too. I saw her doing squats while she was doing something cleansing or exfoliation. But you know, might as well get a bit of, you know, butt tightening going on. Get some squats going. I'm really sluggish with my glutes. I have an old athletics injury which damaged my piriformis. So one of my problems is when I don't switch on my glutes, my piriformis gets really tight and I get sciatica. It's horrible, especially when traveling, or when, you know, basically my basic bed setup changes. So I travel with my pillow. Yeah, I can be a bit of a nightmare when it comes to travel, actually. Okay, so a nice thorough, I think we're getting up to 60 seconds now, and this cleanser really doesn't have any bother getting regular sunscreen off, although let's just be thorough down the neck. Okay, now I'm going to rinse with tepid water, never hot. It just tends to be the kindest to skin. Please forgive me. I'll be right back. Making sure really to rinse the temples. I find that's the area I leave product behind. Now, I do about 10 rinses. Oh, isn't this cute? Nice gift from Skinceuticals, thank you guys. Love me a stripy towel. Okay, so yeah, temples is where I tend to leave, if I'm leaving something behind, whether it's foundation or sunscreen. But my skin now feels clean, not tight, not red, and you guys know I'm prone to a bit of redness. So I'm gonna let that dry completely. And then the next step is my vitamin C serum. So I'm using Skinceuticals CE Ferulic today. I find this one suits my slightly redness prone sensitive skin the best. I'm going to use 7 drops. And I'm going to apply it evenly all over. And I take it down my neck. Vitamin C I find to be one of the best active ingredients in terms of its tolerability. So it's good for pigmentation prone skin. It's good for helping ensure we get maximum collagen scaffolding building blocks built up, and it helps neutralize free radicals that get through your sunscreen. So it's a real belt and braces approach to as an add-on to your sun protection. So vitamin C, give it time to dry. It doesn't really take terribly long, I find. I think a good minute. So you could get back to doing those squats, you know. So as I say, I will come back to you with better exercises for the glutes that you can do whilst doing one cleanse, 1 minute, I promise. So next today, I'm doing Obagi Exfoderm Forte. Now I do sometimes build in alpha hydroxy acids in summer where I want a bit of extra brightness and glow. And I'm going to use a fingertip measure. You see that? Literally a line as long as your fingertip from the last crease to the end. It's a line, it's not about filling the finger space. That's about 0.5 gram of product. And it's the kind of amount when you're using actives I think is sufficient, but in general best to build up to that level by doing half that quantity and doing it less frequently at the beginning. That's a general statement, but it's a good one when it comes to new actives, when you're introducing them for the first time. I'm going to use my 13 dot technique. Amazing actually how many patients have said that's useful. I was worried people might think I was being a bit patronising, but for a lot of people they said that when faced with a huge amount of sunscreen, actually it gives them structure and ensures that they are able to get the right amount onto their skin. Okay. So this one is a blend of AHAs. And it's their strong one, it's their Exfoderm Forte. There is a gentler one from Obagi in their Nudo range called Exfoderm, and I'll often start people on that first. So that's simply for chemical exfoliation, for brightening, for smoothing, and it layers well with vitamin C. So I've gone a little bit pink, which I do sometimes with acids, but that's nothing to worry about. In my skin it will settle down, and it feels a little prickly on the skin too. It's just one of those things. Acids by definition, if they're at a lower pH than the skin, the nerves will pick up on it. Some tingling is common I find with both AHAs and azelaic acid. It's never stopped me from using them. So we're going to give that a couple more minutes. You know, I might get down and do a bit of yoga or something under normal circumstances. I won't bore you with that. But you want to give this at least 3 to 5 minutes to dry in before moving on to your moisturizer. And I think that's important because otherwise what happens is if you go in with a moisturizer, and of course you want to moisturize around the eye area, you can end up wiping AHA product onto the eyelids, and you don't want to do that. If you're very concerned about the eye area, I'd actually encourage you to put moisturizer around your eyes before doing the AHA step. And that way you've done your eye contour and therefore you don't need to go back in. Does that make sense? You're not going to wipe product onto an area you don't mean to. Then you're just left with putting sunscreen around your eyes and going on to makeup afterwards. So it's feeling pretty much touch dry. So now what I do is I moisturise. Now I don't tend to moisturise all over my face. I am naturally quite combination, so I've got an oily T-zone, but I do need a bit of moisturisation on my cheeks and around my eyes. And I tend to put a little bit on my mouth just because that's the area that over the course of the day can dry out and can leave you looking a bit patchy on the chin, where it just seems to be an area where the skin will tend to kind of tear and get a little bit piecey on the very surface layers as the day goes on, probably due to eating, you know, air conditioning drying out the skin and so on. So I'll tend to always put a bit of moisturiser there and then sort of focusing on the outer surfaces of the face. I'm going to use Hydrate as a moisturiser. I am going to use my usual application technique, but I'm going to focus most of it on the outside of my face. Now, if you use a moisturising sunscreen, sometimes you don't need extra moisturiser. Sometimes it's fine to put it straight on after something like an AHA based product. There are no right and wrong rules with this kind of stuff other than to give enough time for the layers to dry, and you know your skin best and very much you know what your products are like when you layer. I find sunscreen generally applies better whenever I use moisturiser underneath it. So then it's about finding the right moisturiser and using the right quantity to ensure layers build up nicely. But that's the bit I find that you have to fine tune. And there will definitely be some product combinations that don't work that well together. I mean, I see hundreds and hundreds of women and put routines together for them, and still to this day I can't predict who's going to have a sunscreen ball up on them and who's not. And even the best sunscreens in the world, no matter how brilliant the routine, every so often someone will just find it, the layers don't work together properly. So there's a bit of trial and error, and that's why I always give people some breadth when it comes to choosing moisturizer and SPF. And even sometimes the formulation of the actives. Azelaic acid can be a tricky one to layer. So I sometimes will use a lower percentage non-prescription azelaic acid, for example, the Jan Marini product, if someone's really not getting on with prescription azelaic acid, because they're not perfect formulations. So that's almost gone in now. And then we're going to go on to Elta UV Clear, 2 pumps, because at the minute the temperature in London is 32 degrees and it's only 11 o'clock. So we're going to do 13 dots again. I'm going to do my neck as a separate step, but this is just a routine focusing on my face, guys. I'll use a separate product on my neck. But my precious Elta MD, I'm going to use all over. And I'm going to take it over eyelids. Now, the way I recommend with these types of sunscreens, it is a huge amount of product, no denying. And I look really white right now, but what you have to allow for is that they take about a minute to adhere to the skin, and then that somewhat shiny white veneer will reduce. There'll still be a little something there, that's the nature of this product. It has some zinc and it has some mica for light reflective properties. But you'll see, we'll give it a minute. So that's gone in nicely. And now I'm just doing my neck. And I always do my neck with something a bit more basic. So I'm not encouraged, I'm encouraged, to use plenty. So I'm just using a sample of the CeraVe Facial Moisturizing Lotion SPF 30. And using the same amount again, so a 1/4 teaspoon, so it's a 1/2 teaspoon in total for the head and neck. Now I need to just put some on my ears because my hair's up to date, so make sure I don't miss bits. And for guys, so important to do the back of your neck, okay? Such a common place for men is to get sun damage here and at the back of the neck. All right then, so I think the finish of this sunscreen is very smooth and silky. It is quite sheeny, shall we say, but with base over the top, which is how I wear it. It will give me a lovely base for makeup. It will last well through the day. It doesn't break me out because of the niacinamide in the sunscreen, and it just feels good. So it's not going to ball up on me, and it hasn't done so historically because I took time and made sure that the important steps in the routine get the time that they deserve. So wishing you a great day. I'm off to put my makeup and get my hair done, and I'll see you again soon. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye for now.